Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Nethergreen podcast. I'm your host, Daniel, and I'm joined here today by Bradley and Hector. Today we're going to be talking about Parasite, Aunty Donna, and Saw 10. I'm George Takei. Yep, there you go.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
That was very good.
I mean, you're not George Takei. And that was the only flaw I've got with that.
You lied.
You lied, yeah. You lied to our fans.
Yeah, you're right.
Our precious listeners in Louisiana. And,
We've just lost 10 subscribers.
yeah.
Oh,
We've got one in Norway.
that's been a running joke for like years now.
Yeah.
It's
He listens
one
to every
listener
single
in
one.
Norway. Yeah.
It's actually just Bradley using a Norwegian view.
No, I know who it is. I've told you about it. I'll bleep his name. It's who's
Oh, really?
mine and Sam's friend from college. 'Cause he lives in Norway.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
But he actually listens to it?
Yeah.
That's
What,
cool.
every single one?
I think it doesn't tell me that, but he
right.
tells me that he's a general listener.
I see.
Yeah.
That's decent. That's cool. Yeah.
But yes, hello, welcome. We're back. We're sober again, technically. I mean, we had a fucking crazy night last night, so we've probably still got a little bit in our system, but technically, we're sober.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah,
I'm never
Daniel's...
sober.
Daniel drunk so much that he may never recover.
Yeah. He's permanently damaged his brain for the rest of his life.
Dan's liver is now kind of, imagine a prune that's been dripped and drenched in hydrochloric
piss.
acid, piss, cum.
Delicious.
Yeah, delicious cum.
Yep.
But yeah, and we're...
Moving on.
Dan, it's been a while since you were last on the podcast, because all the episodes we've recorded with you since our last episode with you, you haven't sent us, and have thus been lost to time.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and to be honest, they've gone into the lost files category, so you will hear them at some point, but they're not really fit for human consumption.
Can you at least to me, when you die, can you leave me the SD card that has those episodes?
It's in my will already.
Good.
Yeah. Don't worry about
So there's
that.
like 3 or 4 episodes that exist that are just...
Yeah. There was one where me and Hector had like a heated debate on how you rate. Well, no, it wasn't heated.
On how you rate a
on how to rate a
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
And you'll probably never hear it, audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't want to though, to be honest.
I thought it was
a
good.
very
It
well
was
structured.
incoherent.
I thought it was good.
And it was
well
You just don't
structured.
like it because in the middle of it you did that big fart.
yeah. Damn, I forgot
big
about that.
bubbly
Yeah.
fart.
Big bubbly
You started crying.
You start pissing and shitting. That's the only reason.
That would do it.
But on this episode today, we're going to talk about some movies and some comedy shows that me and Bradley went to.
But before we do that, because last episode we talked me and you, Hector, talked exclusively about what our last 2 months have been. For you, Dan, it's more like 6 months. What's the last 6 months been like, man? What's some personal life updates you got?
Well, I mean, it's been a crazy one, funnily enough. I've moved once, and then moved back, and had some struggles of my own, but made it out in the end. And this may even be the last time the listener ever hears my voice.
It won't be.
It could be.
No, it won't be.
Because I'm sorry to disappoint, listener, I will be moving back to America very soon.
Wow.
So,
Congratulations.
Yeah. Big reveal.
But the reason it won't be is because me and Hector will eventually be joining.
Yeah, well.
And we'll see, maybe, who knows. But that's the plan. And when that happens, you can expect a lot more consistent recordings, because we'll all be living together. We'll probably just have the microphone set up on the kitchen table.
Yeah, Bradley's going to place loads of secret microphones all around the house without anyone knowing.
It'll be a constant live stream podcast. You'll hear everything.
And see everything. We're going to transfer to video. There's going to be a whole video element. There might even be like a game show aspect to it.
Wow.
Well, in the way, it's going to be more like a Saw aspect, because I'm going to set traps all around the house that you're going to walk into.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I mean, good luck, man. Where are you moving to in America?
So I'm going to Idaho first. Gonna go visit some family, and then I'm gonna just sort of see where things go from there. I've got some friends to visit, so gonna
I see you being homeless and like
travel around.
4
Yeah,
months.
that is actually the plan. I did want to experience what homelessness feels like, to really get inside the head of the homeless.
Yeah.
So I think
instead of in their guts, because you're constantly fucking homeless people.
Jesus Christ.
I had an idea for an It's Always Sunny episode once where Dennis bags. It was called Dennis Bags a Homeless, where he finds a homeless woman and he decides he's gonna bring her up to be like the perfect woman.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That is something Dennis would do.
Yeah, no,
that's a good episode idea.
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode idea. I actually gave it to a friend of mine, Archie, who's a friend of the podcast. And I don't know if he used it, because we had to write an episode for uni of something, of one of our favourite shows. He wrote an It's Always Sunny episode. I don't know if he used the idea, but...
You should pitch it to the It's Always Sunny team.
Maybe I should,
You should sell it to them for 5,000.
Yeah, well, I'd rather write it for them and get my first credit.
Right,
I mean...
It would be a good episode, I think.
Wouldn't they have to give you a credit if you wrote the whole thing and then sold it to them?
Yeah, they would.
I'd get a story by credit.
I see.
I mean, it depends, because even if I mean, how it works with writers' rooms like that is, even if I write an episode, there's a big chance it'll be rewritten, but I will still retain the original credit.
No.
No matter how much material they change. Like, Dan Harmon in Community did that all the time. He rewrote every episode into his style with his own sort of jokes, but obviously he's not credited as the writer of each episode.
He's not even funny. He's okay.
He's okay. But Dan, that's just how it works. I mean, it works where that's what the showrunner does, essentially. You know.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get into some of the shit
Let's
we've got to
get
talk
right
about. Hilariously,
into the news.
none of our main topics, which is Saw 10 and Aunty Donna, are things that Dan could actually really chip in with, because you haven't seen Saw 10 and you didn't come with
You've
us.
seen Parasite, actually.
I've seen Parasite.
You've seen Parasite, yeah.
Parasite.
I've seen Parasite.
You wrote your dissertation on Parasite.
I featured it in my dissertation.
Oh wow, so then we can definitely talk about
he's a scholar.
Because I actually watched Parasite for the first time recently. Because why was it you brought it up?
That's still amazing.
Yeah, we were talking about like brilliant foreign films, and I was saying how I think the Korean films are some of the best of the foreign genre. I brought up Old Boy. It was because of Past Lives, which I still think is the best film of the year, which is like 80% Korean, 20% English. And I brought up Parasite because it won Best Picture 2019, I believe, and it totally deserved it. Amazing film.
No, it was really, really good. Yeah, I can't believe I hadn't watched it until now. Yeah.
Did you know what it'd be about when you were going into it?
No, I hate watching. I try not to watch trailers or read descriptions or anything.
I've taught you well.
I mean, it's better. It's nicer. More surprises. Makes it more enjoyable.
I think the great thing about it is as the film develops, there's a certain way that you expect the movie to go, which I think is the case with a lot of like Asian films and things like this. I read about that quite a lot. Is in the West we have a certain idea of how story structure should be, but it's like actually completely different from Eastern storytelling, which is really interesting. So yeah, you watch the film and you have this entire sort of idea as to how the film is going to go, and then it just doesn't. It goes completely differently.
I mean, when I watched it, I felt on edge the whole way through. Well, not the whole way through. That'd be insane.
From the very first scene, you're like, oh my fucking god.
Yeah. No, but like, especially all of the scenes. I don't know why. Yeah, I just got really, really invested into the characters, and I was cringing throughout a lot of it. If you know what I mean. Not cringing because it's bad, but cringing as in, you know, in the context of the story.
It's funny because when I first watched it, I only knew the title and I saw the poster, and the poster is quite creepy. I went in expecting it to be a horror movie, and it isn't until it kind of becomes one.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting, because you're right, the first part is almost more of a black comedy, the first part. A really dark comedy where, you know, they put themselves into it. In a way, it is a classic sort of sitcom scenario. You know, they're
replacing all of the people working in this house now. The whole family is working there. Hilarious.
Yeah, and then that reveal happens of the guy in the basement. And I remember when I first watched it, because I wasn't disinterested by any means. I was still really much enjoying what I was watching. But when that happened, it suddenly became a bit more of a, okay, I see why this film is getting talked about a lot. I see why it's gotten attention. You know, because until then, I mean, while it was good, I was like, I mean, I wasn't scoffing at it or anything, but I was like, Best Picture? I mean, how has it got Best Picture right now? Because I didn't watch it until it won. I was like, you know, what is it about the film that's really captured people? And then that happened, and I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah. Like, what, and also a masterful tonal shift. Some films really fail at that, and it really played it off fucking beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when the woman gets kicked down the stairs and just fucking smack. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's getting... And then the ending is like... But by the end, I was like, you know what? All of the preconceived notions I had at the beginning of where I thought this movie was going is completely wrong.
Yeah.
It's entirely wrong.
I mean, because like you have like certain like classic story tropes in it. As soon as you see, for instance, like the main guy and then the girl that he meets, you sort of expect it to go in that direction, I guess, in some ways. Because, I mean, we often think, you know, in terms of relationships, there's a relationship in the film, it's going to go that way. And the film's going to sort of, you know, follow that a little bit more. And then it doesn't, and it just goes in a completely different direction, which you just don't expect at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite scenes in the film, it's not related to the tonal shift. I love the scene where they're trying to get stuff from the house as it's flooding. I think that's a really well done little fucking scene.
Yeah.
You know, and
The toilet exploding with shit.
yeah, like, and because that was also, that's a really good way of showing that divide where, because the people in the mansion never have to worry about shit like that while they live in the slums. It's a really great, you know, film because obviously the main theme of the film is kind of social class. And it does a fantastic job at representing that and showing kind of the differences there between the rich and the poor and the grey area in between. You know, like, it's just, yeah, it is a really fantastic film. And it was the first foreign film in a long, long time to win Best Picture. Like, a really fucking long time. And it just really deserved it. When I think of films in 2019 that could have, I'd honestly have to go onto IMDb to check. But I can't really think of any off the top of my head that I would have rather have won, you know. I might check it. You guys talk for a sec. I'm going to quickly check what other films came out in 2019 that I rated highly.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing it in the cinema, to be honest, and there was, yeah.
You saw it in the cinema?
I
Nice.
think, yeah. No, it was really, really good, though.
Right.
It was, yeah. It was good. Yeah.
Okay. One thing that I picked out in the film that I didn't really get was the father of the guy kept saying,
To be fair.
every so often to the man of the household, well, she's your wife. You do love her.
Yeah.
And I was like, what, why is he saying that? Is it because he doesn't love his wife? Is he jealous of this man and his wife?
To be fair, so yeah, I'm on IMDb now. There are 2 films in 2019 that if they won Best Picture, I wouldn't have been disappointed too. There's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and there is, where is it? The Lighthouse.
Those are true. I think I saw The Lighthouse in cinema as well, actually. That was,
nice.
again, yeah, really good.
Lighthouse is brilliant, but I'm not, there are some films that win Best Picture that I'm genuinely angry at. I'm angry at some of them get even how Elvis was nominated for Best Picture.
I didn't even see it.
It's shit. It's a complete dog shit movie. And Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, did it win? No, it won Best Makeup. I think.
Yeah, I think it's well. They it seemed like they were going to go on this whole like spree of just making movies about singers, which just kind of sucked. Because obviously, I think Bohemian Rhapsody did it really well, and I think it did it the best. But it was also like the first one.
No, I wouldn't even say it did it the best. Have you seen Rocketman?
No,
Rocketman's
I haven't.
pretty good.
No.
Not great, but I think that's better than Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody, by the way, it was nominated for Best Editing. I don't know how. I think the editing in that film is jarring and pretty actually awful.
I haven't seen it. I've only heard, you know.
If you watch it, pay attention to the editing.
I've had a million trailers shoved down my throat for both the Elvis and the Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
Yeah.
Because they were plastered everywhere for some reason. Didn't see many trailers for Parasite though.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
not really.
I mean, I didn't see anything Past Lives. It was a recommendation by Archie again, actually, friend of the podcast.
He's friend of the podcast.
Friend of the podcast. Shout out Archie.
Yeah, because Archie and me have a very similar taste in movies. We appreciate different genres a lot more. Like, he really loves musicals, while I've never been too big on it. But there are some films that we both just have a lot of huge appreciation for. Halloween is a another obvious one. We spoke about that in the episode he was on, I think, because he's a big horror guy too. We both really appreciate a great horror.
So you got that Halloween is coming around the corner. Are there any more Halloween themed movies coming out? Not just necessarily that, but like Halloween themed horror movies, classic, coming out around Halloween, because it's that time of year now.
It is that time of year. I mean, trying to think of what horror movies are coming out soon. Oh, well, fucking Five Nights at Freddy's is coming out.
No way. They're turning that into an actual horror film.
Yeah, and that's coming out on Halloween.
goodness.
It's got Matthew Lillard in it as the manager. He's Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Wow, that's kind of fun. And from Scream, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's I've forgotten his character's name. Stu from Scream.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny.
Honestly, I've seen the trailer a lot now. It played before Saw 10. You've seen the trailer then? Yeah, it played before Saw 10, and it looks shit, but I will probably watch it for the meme. It looks like it's going to be fun, which is a bad movie. As long as it's fun, fine. Be bad. I don't care.
Yeah. It was similar with M3 and when we watched that. I mean,
we've watched lots of bad movies that are still fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I include that in my rating. The funness of a movie is a big part of it, I think.
Like you guys, didn't you say you were going to give
experience
M3 a 6 out of 10?
No.
5?
I'm pretty sure you did.
No, you were saying like a 2 out of 10, and I was saying either a 3 or a 4 out of 10.
I would say like
I think you stuck your guns with 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's not a 4.
It's not a 4. No, it's not. It's horrible. It is fun though. It is like, but that's a personal experience type of thing.
Yeah.
You can't really take that into consideration when you're rating how well a film is made. I don't think.
Can I ask? I mean, I don't know how many films you've seen this year, Hector. I mean,
not many other than the ones I've watched.
I feel like you've watched a lot of films this year, though.
Yeah.
What's been your least favorite film of the year so far? I've got 2.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not a matter of least favorite, really. It's
the worst film you've seen this year, objectively, in your opinion.
Worst film, I couldn't say, to be honest.
You only watch masterpieces.
All of the films he watches are exquisite pieces of art.
Well, it wasn't. It's not a bad film, and it's actually quite good. But I think it was really overrated. Was what was it? What's the name of it? Oppenheimer. Yeah, I think that was really. I think it was really overrated, just because it wasn't a bad film. It was quite good, but it was it was just it was just underwhelming though. It was really underwhelming. Even like the big, nuke scene was kind of underwhelming, which is that should be the main.
There was a lot of commie themes.
Yeah, there was a lot of there was a really heavy heavy sort of lean on the communist aspect of it, which and for a film about bomb making, there was surprisingly not that much bomb making.
I disagree with that. There's a fair amount of bomb making, but because it's a 3-hour film, it doesn't feel like there is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
wow, it's a 3-hour film.
It was, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it focused a lot on the politics aspect of everything, and I know that was a big part in the actual history, but yeah, I think it actually really just could have done without the last third of the film.
I will say, if that's your least favourite film you've seen this year, you haven't seen that many movies.
I haven't, really honestly. I really haven't. Or maybe I have, and I'm just forgetting.
Didn't Avatar 2 come out this year?
No, that was the very end of last year. December last year.
Didn't see that either.
I saw that. It was fine. It was fine. But considering how long it took them to make, that's not very good.
I still can't believe that it actually made money, because Avatar, I feel like the first Avatar movie, in my opinion, has really not that much cultural relevance.
I just don't even
anymore.
No,
but yet the second one it's the third highest grossing movie ever.
You know why?
How?
China.
Yeah, they love it. They do. Yeah, they loved it in China.
Asian countries love that shit.
My 2 least favourite films of the year, one, The Flash, which was dog shit.
That's the one with the baby going into the microwave.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah.
And Michael Keaton's Batman commits suicide at the end.
Nice.
And like, fucking dumb film. It's a film for dummies. If you enjoy it, you're a dummy. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's bad that you enjoy it. I'm happy you can enjoy it, but you are a dummy. And I mean, it's tied, but I had a significantly worse time watching the film Joyride, which is about this little group of of Chinese women who go back to China in order to find one of their parents.
Oh yes, I saw trailers for that. That looked really.
There's a scene in the film where, because I obviously I have a unlimited Cineworld pass, so I don't pay for movies, so I go and watch anything. And it was a secret screening, which made it work. I saw it before most other people. And I knew it was probably going to be that going in, and I really didn't want it to be, but it was.
Yeah.
And I went with my sister, so I couldn't leave. I really wanted to leave.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
And
you told me, yes, you went with your sister.
There's one scene where they're in an airport and they're pretending to be a K-pop band.
Yeah.
And the security guard's like, well, prove it, sing. And they start singing that, I think it's a Cardi B song, Wet Ass Pussy.
Oh, God.
And it becomes, because they don't just start singing it, it becomes like a K-pop music video.
Oh, God.
And I remember there was an actual point during that scene where I thought two things. The first thing I thought was, man, I really wish I could go to sleep right now. I wish I was capable of falling asleep whenever I wanted so that I can skip the rest of this movie. And then my second thought because it's like a 3-minute music video scene in there.
Jeez.
And my second thought was, man, I want to kill myself. This is horrific.
Absolutely horrible. Was it also the only music scene in the entire film?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Why do they do that? It was one in M3 where all of a sudden they were singing.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this going to be a musical now?
Maybe that's just a bit. Maybe
musical?
that's just a crucial part of making any bad movie. To have a random, spontaneous.
But it genuinely, Joyride feels like a film. It's got the same sort of comedy style as like one of those films from like the early 2000s, like American Pie and Road Trip and all that sort of shit. Like it's just, I found it chronically unfunny is the best way of putting it. Every joke, here's a good way. There aren't jokes, they just swear a bunch. Like someone will say something and they'll be like, shut the fuck up, Kyle! Oh, Kyle, shut the fuck up! And it's like, yeah, okay. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, shut up, Kyle.
Yeah, we don't give a shit, man. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. There was actually no, the worst film that I saw this year. I don't know if it came out this year, but I think it was called You People or Those People.
Oh,
with,
no, yeah.
With
You People.
Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill. Bro, that was
a shit film.
That is a dog shit film, man. Like not even just because of the whole racist thing. It is actually the most racist film I've ever seen.
Like it came out
towards
this year
towards white people and black
towards
people.
White
it's
people.
No, towards white people and black people. It's actually very, very racist. But yeah, again, none of the jokes landed. It was so unfunny that I was just.
Oh, I know the worst film you've seen this year, Hector. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Do you know they've greenlit a second one? A second one's being made. And, the guy that we worked with on The Payday, Simon Cowell's in it, funnily enough.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah, he's gonna be in it.
Dude.
I know some people
That's crazy.
people that worked on it, to be fair, that even worked on reshoots for the first one.
And do they know that
How
they
bad
made
it
a
is?
piece of shit dog shit movie?
I don't think they do.
It's a 1
Based
out of 10.
on the people I knew that worked on it.
I'm generous with twos. It's a 1
It was
out of
awful.
10.
It was a really, really bad movie.
Yeah.
What happens in it? I don't
Okay.
know.
There's a group of girls. Of
Okay.
who
I already hate it.
Yeah, who are
Fucking
going-
women.
they're
hate
going-
women.
Oh, actually, and then there was this random scene where they go to like a garage at the beginning.
Yeah.
and they go into the garage, and what the fuck happened?
There's like a Ralph from Firefighter where it's like, the old
Oh,
man.
yes.
gives
Oh, the old man
warnings.
gives them a warning. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And it's such a cliched, just a mess of a movie. Just a fucking mess.
yeah. There was in particular a kill scene where there was a girl in the pool, and Winnie the Pooh comes in, and she's just like. In the pool,
she's at the front of the
splashing
pool. Winnie the Pooh enters, and she decides the best way of escaping it is to swim to the other side of the pool.
Instead of just hopping out on the side that she's already on and running. Okay.
Or the opposite side to it.
Or the opposite. Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
no, she stays in the pool, and then what does he do? He bashes her head in with like a crowbar.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, do you remember the first kill? They take Winnie the Pooh. A woman runs into a warehouse, and as Winnie the Pooh is getting her by the neck, he just rips her shirt off
Yeah, he just rips her shirt off
for no reason. Like,
Fair enough. So, I mean...
and the bees.
What? The bees.
Do you remember the bees?
He could command... Okay, right.
He does it once at the end.
He does it
never
once, but
uses
it's like
this power.
Avengers level threats. He commanded the bees in like a swarm.
Bees?
Yeah, bees. He has the
Bees?
power to control a swarm of bees to then attack.
A hillbilly, because
Yeah.
the final girl escapes and finds this group of hillbillies, and they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong, girl?" And Winnie the Pooh's coming, and they're all trying to kill him. And then the last guy runs, and he just goes, whoosh, and a swarm of bees flies onto the man's head and kills him.
Where do the bees come from? Just from his
Just
hand?
around.
Like,
Yeah,
just
they're
around. He summons the
They're
bee.
close
Okay.
to him, yeah.
Is it summertime?
No.
Where the fuck the bees come from? Fucking Jesus. Okay.
Maybe they're
okay,
hidden in his
It's also in the middle of night, and it's a very well-known fact. It genuinely is.
Bees go to
that,
sleep.
No, bees do. Bees go to sleep when it's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not these bees, though.
Not these.
No. But
And then Christopher Robin.
so
comes
what
and saves
happened? Wait, what?
Christopher Robin's in the movie, and he's an adult, and he tracks them down at the very end, and he says something. Winnie the Pooh speaks. He says like one word at the end where he's like, "No," and then I don't remember if he actually kills Christopher Robin or he tries to,
But basically, the premise is that Christopher Robin and his animals, eventually Christopher Robin has to go to university, so he leaves them. But
they eat eel.
But they don't know how to get food for themselves because Christopher Robin used to bring them food all the time. So they start starving, and eventually they decide that they have to eat eel. So they eat eel,
And it drives them crazy.
and
Not rabbit.
and they no. They eat eel, and they become like a bunch of demonic, sort of animalistic animals.
Man beasts.
But in
Man
reality,
beasts,
they're
right.
actually just four men with masks on.
Yeah.
That woman kills Piglet, I remember.
Yeah.
She like bashes his head in with like a hook.
Yeah.
Because she's put on a hook, Dead by Daylight style.
Nice.
And when she gets off the hook, she gets it down and she actually kills Piglet.
Yeah.
Poor piglet.
But then, so
No, he
but then,
deserved
so he comes back with like this girl, and they're
Oh,
mad.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
mad at him, and they decide to start like torturing him and the girl.
Yeah,
And
they
then-
rescue Christopher Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, they start torturing them, and then cuts away, and now we're looking at these girls that are going on holiday to this cabin in the woods.
in the
Yeah.
in that
in
woods.
the
Yeah.
And then they go in there, and I guess Winnie the Pooh discovers them, and then comes.
And Winnie
like,
the Pooh's wearing like a truck driver's outfit.
Yeah,
got, like, a
he's wearing
shirt
plaid, isn't he?
over
Yeah.
him.
He's got like
Yeah,
a
I've
bit of a
seen
beer
that.
belly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, overall it's terrible. It's really bad.
It's genuinely
It's
bad.
really
Do you
awful.
remember there was one shot in it where like they're running through the woods and the frame rate suddenly like dropped dramatically? And I
do
remember we
remember,
actually
yeah.
paused it being like, what the fuck was that? Was that the movie or was that the player? But no, that was 100% the movie. It
The frame rate drops.
It dropped to like fucking 10 frames per second during that one shot.
real. That's
And the
crazy.
aspect ratio was changing a bunch.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I mean, they did have to do reshoots, so I'm kind of not surprised. Also, the people that I know that worked on it were not always the best.
They were all drunk on set 24/7.
Yeah, they weren't always the best with
Yeah. I mean, you could tell that they all had a lot of fun filming it. It doesn't translate into something that the audience are going to enjoy.
No.
Yeah,
no,
because it was
absolutely
pretty
not.
bad. The music was pretty cringe. The story was pretty cringe. The kills were pretty cringe. The acting was pretty bad. You could tell that most of the girls were like not actresses, but probably just porn stars or strippers or like OnlyFans models that they'd hired.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because it was actually filmed mostly in England, I think.
Yeah, it was
Like,
all filmed in England. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, the two producers are like two random businessmen, just rich men in England. They've
Yeah,
never produced
yeah.
or directed anything before. They were just two rich people, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I literally like went to uni with one of the guys that did the cinematography for like the reshoots, I think. And like, I mean, he was good. Like, he was, you know, he wasn't a bad cinematographer or anything like that, but he also wasn't amazing. So yeah, I'm kind of not surprised that it turned out
That's
the
a
way that
shame.
it did.
That's a real shame because the movie was 1 out of 10 easily, but
Yeah. I mean, you could have done a lot with it, to be honest, because I know that Winnie the Pooh came into like the public domain, didn't it? So
yeah,
that's why they made the film.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have gone in a completely different direction, and made it actually, you know, a proper good horror film. But
I mean, in my opinion, why make it horror film when you can make it like adult? Have Winnie the Pooh like do drugs?
yeah, make
the
it
honey's
like
like heroin to him.
a TED style.
Yeah, make it more of like a metaphorical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, fuck off, Piglet.
He's still very soft spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna make a horror movie out of it, like, you could do it well, but obviously they didn't do that.
No.
I mean, talking of a well done recent horror film, me and Hector went and saw Saw 10.
Oh, yes. And it was fun.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you had actually seen any Saw films before, because Saw doesn't seem like your type. John.
I've seen some. I mean, the only reason I have seen some is because it's Saw.
Yeah.
Right? Surely most people have at least seen a Saw movie.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I haven't seen all of them, but I have seen some, and I know, like, the basic premise. He has cancer.
He has cancer. He does have... Well, he
in
did.
his ass.
In his ass. Actually, it's in his brain.
It's in his brain, which is the worst place to have it.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen, like, all of the other Saw films. I haven't seen this one yet.
What's your favourite and least favourite? Of the ones you've seen?
I mean, I like the first one just because it's classic. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily the best. I want to say...
I don't know. I think it's the most... I mean, not to disrespect the Saw franchise, I think it's the most real movie of them.
Yeah. I think
Real movie.
the one with the needle pit. That was
Saw
quite
2,
good.
yeah.
Saw 2, yeah. That's quite good. Least favorite is, I mean, it's like a spin-off, isn't it? Spiral, yeah.
Well, it was
Chris Rock, isn't it?
It was a spin-off, but now that Saw 10 is called Saw 10, it's just Saw 9 now.
Yeah. It's, I didn't like that one, like, at all.
Spiral is fucking garbage.
Yeah, it's very comedic in places it shouldn't be. Like Chris Rock just screaming and hitting in the car and hitting
there's a scene in Spiral
funny.
where it's like a jump scare where he's just sat in the car, he's like, and then it just cuts to him. And he's whacking the fucking...
But it's Chris Rock. It's Chris Rock doing it.
Amazing.
And what, Samuel L. Jackson's in it as well.
I mean,
Oh
we get to hear him say an iconic line, which is, "Alright, Jigsaw, motherfucker, you want to play a game? I'll play games."
Oh, shit. God.
And then he dies, you know,
he
or
dies.
almost dies.
No, he
I
does
forget.
die.
Does
Yeah,
he die?
it's a really it's a cool trap at the end
It is
too,
a
where
cool trap,
he's
yeah.
like got wires attached to him like a puppet, and well, it's not Jigsaw.
His blood's being drained, isn't it?
Yeah, his blood's being drained, and then there's a SWAT team coming in because I've been told there's a guy with a gun, and he's got a gun attached to his hand, and then the strings bring him up and bring his arm up, so that he's pointing directly at the door,
And
he's a
shoot
black
him.
man, so
Yeah.
obviously they immediately shoot him.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And his son is Chris Rock. And Chris Rock's in the room. He's going like, stop, and then they shoot his dad, and he's like, no.
Yeah, and it's Chris Rock, isn't it? So it's like, I don't think I could have ever taken it seriously. It's the fucking what is it? Zebra from Madagascar.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think some of the traps in Spiral are really great.
yeah.
I think the best trap in that film is there's a woman. She's attached to a table, and she's got a plastic thing covering her face, and there's and she's got to press down on the spike and sever her spinal cord, or hot oil is going to fall into her face and burn and suffocate her.
Jesus.
Which ends up happening.
Yeah, she doesn't do it. Yeah. So it's got some really good.
Yeah,
traps.
it does actually. And then what is the other one? Is the other one the guy gets electrocuted in the water or something?
Yeah,
like that?
He's in a bath that's filling up. There's a wire, and he's got a thing. He's got to pull off his fingers in order to get out of it.
Yeah.
But it's also got kind of some shit. Like, there's a trap near the end where it's a guy who's hung up, and there's like a glass machine where it's crushing up glass and launching it at him, and it's like, is that something that actually exists? What's the purpose of that? It's just crushing up bits of glass and launching it at 100 miles per hour out. Is that a real machine? Like, what's the point of that? It might be a real machine, but when I was watching it, I was like...
It's like a wood chipper, maybe.
Yeah, it's like a wood chipper, but for glass. And
yeah. Well, you could probably put glass into a wood chipper.
I suppose it could be, yeah. But that is, even then, that's not a great trap.
No.
There's one, the biggest thing that Spiral does wrong. So, obviously, we don't know who the killer is this time. Jigsaw, like, John Kramer's not in the film. He's been dead for a long time. It's a copycat killer. And there's, who is it, I wonder? But then, so, Chris Rock's character's got a partner called something. I don't remember.
Some guy. This guy.
And then we're told halfway through that he got jigsawed. He's trapped, and we see a guy skinned, and we're told it's him. But at the same time, I'm sit there as a fan of Saw thinking, well, why didn't we see that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we see the trap? obviously there's something going on here because we would have just seen the trap. And then at the end, it's like, that wasn't him. He's the guy. What a twist.
The killer.
And I was like, yeah, I thought so, because we're just told he's dead and we don't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, like, kind of hints to it anyway, and very, like...
Yeah, he says obvious lines, like, because the reason he's doing it is because
his dad died.
And he says shit like, your dad's the reason I started all of this. But he's saying that about being a cop, so obviously he could come back at the end being like, your dad's the reason I'm Jigsaw, kind of thing, like... Yeah. Yeah, once you get the formula, it just becomes really fucking obvious,
Yeah. Yeah, also...
In Saw 10, talking about traps...
Yeah.
I was a bit sad that one of the ones that I thought was the coolest wasn't actually a real trap.
It was a dream.
Yeah.
So there's only one other film where they've done a dream trap, and that was in Saw 7, where Jigsaw's wife has a dream that Hoffman's going to kill her, and it's like a roller coaster with a spike on the end. And
right.
Her.
Yeah.
But then it turns out that's a dream. And this film, Saw 10, I've tried to keep it as spoiler-free as I can, but it begins with a dream trap where Jigsaw sees someone committing a crime and imagines what he would do to that guy.
Right.
And it is a really cool idea for a trap.
I don't mind spoilers, by the way, unless you're just saving it for the audience.
No, you sure?
But
No,
I don't mind. Yeah.
Alright, so the idea of the trap is that it's a guy who's attached to a chair. It's a bit goofy. It's a
little bit goofy,
I'll explain why it's goofy, but he's attached to a chair with things on his fingers, and he's got tubes coming from his eyes, and there's a dial. So it's only one hand too. It's a very tame trap. It looks cool, but it's actually very tame, and I'll explain why. So he's got a twisted dial, and every time he does, it pulls his finger back and breaks it. And he's got to do all 5 fingers, or his eye's going to get sucked through the tube. The reason it's tame, one, when you're watching it, because he breaks a couple of the fingers, but it doesn't actually look much. Because, like, it's almost kind of comedic. I mean, all of Saw's a bit comedic.
Yeah,
but seeing it go back and just seeing him be like, ah! Like, because it doesn't look that bad.
Yeah.
Like, and second, and then also his hand will heal. You're just breaking fingers.
Yeah, you're just breaking
But also
fingers,
he's doing it like one at a time. Just go 0 to 5. 0 to 5, break them all.
Yeah.
But the other reason why it's kind of tame is because we see him foul the dream trap, his eyes get sucked out. But also, and I'm not exaggerating, I know my Saw. I think this is one of the only traps where you don't just straight up die if you lose.
Yeah.
Like, you can survive getting your eyes sucked out.
Yeah,
if you get immediate medical attention, which Jigsaw will do, even if you fail the trap, if again, we've never had to see that, because usually, almost every other time when you foul a trap, you are going to die.
Yeah.
This was the only one where you wouldn't have died. You would have just sat there screaming for hours as you bleed out. Like,
yeah, or you might not even bleed
you might
out.
not even bleed out, exactly.
Yeah, you might, survive. So, I mean, like, that's interesting. But
it looked visually cool.
Yeah.
The finger snapping back was funny. Because literally, it's so just...
I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, though. Eyes or fingers, which will heal? Eyes, fingers, I wonder, just...
And I'm going to do one finger every 20 seconds. I've got 2 minutes
does the time run out and his eyes get sucked out?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I think he gets like 3 fingers in.
That's stupid. Easy trap.
Easiest choice.
That is actually like the easiest trap that he could have ever gotten out of all of the Saw traps.
But it's a dream trap, and then at the end, the guy committing the crime sees John Kramer looking at him and changes his mind and he's stealing something, he puts it back. And on the way out, he passes John, and John stops and is like, "You made a good choice."
Okay.
But yeah,
what a good guy.
Yeah.
I thought that trap was creative as opposed to the final trap, which was...
I mean, it was so creative that trap is the poster of the film. The poster is a guy screaming with the tubes forming an X.
Yeah.
It's a really visually cool trap. But the plot of the movie, and the plot is the main reason I was actually really excited to see it. I think it's a really, really cool idea for a Saw film, which is that it's set between Saw 1 and 2. And John Kramer, he's still alive, he's still dying of cancer. He hears about an experimental procedure in Mexico. He goes down, he gets the procedure done, the surgery, chemicals. But then he discovers that it was all a scam, and he's still dying, you know. And so he decides he's going to saw the scammers.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really fucking cool idea.
That is a good
because we've never seen Jigsaw that personally, emotionally invested in the victims like that.
Yeah.
But in this film, and also he's the main, like even though he's in every film, this is the first Saw film where he is the main character.
Yeah.
Like undeniably, this film is about John Kramer.
Okay.
You know?
That's cool. Yeah.
And he's present for the traps. Like Billy's in it, but there's no video screens of Billy. He's in. He's not in the room. He's in like an observation deck, but he's talking through the tape recorders and he's watching the entire time.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, and he has this line in it where he's like, "This isn't revenge. This isn't retribution. It's a reawakening." But you can tell how pissed he is. You know, you can really tell how emotionally invested he is in this trial.
Story. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really fucking cool idea. And I was really, really pleasantly surprised. Because, I mean, I think I said this to you when we were going on the way to the cinema. I wasn't expecting it to be good. I was expecting it to be fun.
Yeah.
But I left with it being really fun and also actually pretty good.
Right.
Like, it was alright. I mean, as a film, 6 out of 10 I'd be fine with. But as a film, I mean, I'll gladly rewatch it.
Yeah,
100%, you know, many times. I thought it was a really fun film.
Yeah, I'd definitely be up for watching it, to be fair. That'd be quite
And yeah, admittedly, some of the traps are
disappointing.
I
Not
mean,
that creative.
when I think about it, I think there's only 6 traps in the film, which that's pretty standard for a Saw film. And I'd say 2 of them are a bit disappointing. One of them's weird, and the other ones are good. So there's the dream trap, which is... It's the first trap, and it is arguably the best of the film. At least it's the visual best. I mean, do you really want us to go through the traps here? You don't mind spoilers?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
go for it.
So the second trap, so he's gotten scammed. He's like, oh, I'm mad, I'm Jigsaw, I'm mad. And he starts kidnapping people. He kidnaps a cab driver who was pretending to be one of the surgeons. He recognised his eyes. So he kidnaps this cab driver, and he wants to interrogate him for information, which is implied he does before the trap. Well, not implied, actually. We see a little bit of it. But his trap is that he has pipe bombs on his arms, like sewn into his arms. And he's got duct tape around his hands and scalpels. And he's got to cut out the pipe bombs before they blow up, or he's going to lose his arms and all that shit. He does that. He succeeds. And I just thought that was a really cool little sequence, because you actually... That's the one in the film where you're like, okay... Because obviously you have the question all the time of, what would I do in that scenario? The first one, really obvious. I'm breaking all of my fingers immediately. But for this one, it raises the question of like, well, that is going to hurt. You're cutting into your arm. You see like fucking chunk out of his arm. Like, he's only got 3 minutes. Like, it really does raise the question of how well would you really do? Like, even if you've got the willpower to do it, you've got to do it twice. Yeah. You know, and you can't do that at the same time. You know, you've got to do one and then the other.
You've got to fight your reflexes to stab into your arm and cut out.
Exactly, but he does
out the pipe bomb.
But he does succeed, and I thought that was a pretty alright trap. You know, and then so there's 4 main scammers: Valentina, Malon, Gabriella, and Cecilia. And then he locks them all in the same warehouse to where they scammed him and pretended to do surgery on him. And this Valentina's up first, and her trap is that she's locked into a chair, and she's got some fishing wire, like one of those saws where it's like a wire.
Yeah.
She's got one of those like really close to her neck, and she's got one next to her and a little syringe.
Like cheese string.
Like a cheese string. But her trap is that she has to use the saw wire. She's got to cut off her leg, and she's got to suck out the bone marrow to fill up enough in order to release her. And she's got 3 minutes. And there's a thing that they do a lot in this film. They do it, well, I say a lot. They do it twice, but I think it's kind of funny. Where they've got 3 minutes. They spend about the first minute and a half screaming, like, "No, right. I can't do it." Ah! They do it. She does it, but then because she wasted so much time at the beginning, she cuts off her leg, but she doesn't manage to suck out enough bone marrow in time. So the wire around her neck, it contracts and cuts off her head.
Right. Yep.
Which I think is a really good trap.
That is.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
And then after Amanda's also in the film. She looks. I don't know, because obviously it's been 20 years since the first, and she was a young woman in the first, and now she's like 40, 50.
Yeah.
The makeup people and the hair style lists, they did her dirty. She looks really old, unfortunately. She still looks great, don't get me wrong. She's a fine woman, but for her especially, it's kind of like Jigsaw obviously looks older, but he's also dying of cancer, so you could be like, well, that's why he looks foul right now. Like, he's under a lot of stress. But Amanda just looks 20 years older. Yeah. And if you're going to watch this chronologically, if you're going to watch Saw and then Saw 10 and then Saw 2, that's going to be jarring.
Yeah, of course.
But then, so we get a second trap. No, at this point, a guy comes in. His name is... Do you remember that guy's name?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Oh, I could Google it. Should we just give him a name? He's a British guy.
Yeah.
Let's call him Kenny. It's not Kenny. It's definitely not Kenny, but let's just call him Kenny. No, I'm going to Google it. There's no point in just making up a name for the guy when it's so easy to figure it out. So his name is Parker Sears. So then a British guy comes in, and when John first met him, he was also getting surgery by the same scammers. So he comes being like, look, they didn't do the surgery, I want my fucking money. And John, ties Parker up and is like...
wait, you missed out a crucial part. Why did he come?
Well, no, because that's a part of the,
I thought you were describing it chronologically. No,
you'll get why I left it out. But yeah, so Parker comes and he's like, I want my money, and John ties him up and is like, work with me here, Parker, let me show you what I'm doing. He's like, I want to bust that bitch's teeth in, and John's like, well, in about an hour she'll wish you had, like, kind of thing. And then we get Maron's trap. Maron is the anesthesiologist. He's the only guy in the trap. And he's got a pretty fucked up trap. It's also the most unrealistic one. Yeah. Where he's attached to a chair, as they all are. He's got this thing covering his this side, and his thing is that he's got a bit of his scalp shaved. He's got to cut into his own scalp, remove a bit of his skull, and he's got to put enough brain matter into a jar of acid to dissolve. And then once it's dissolved enough, it will drop a key, and he can release himself.
Right.
Again, this one's the most unrealistic. 100%.
Whose logic? I also how just
unless you were really well, no, you wouldn't die. But unless you were really, really drugged up, you definitely wouldn't be able to do it to yourself.
That would be immensely painful, and then also it's your brain.
Who knows what sort of shit you could do? Imagine you get halfway through the trap and you cut out like. I can't move my arms.
And take out the part of your brain that I'd rather die.
But again, so 3 minutes. He spends the first minute and a half. I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing.
And then he starts doing it.
And then he starts doing it. He actually seems like he's getting enough. And then he
pulls out a chunk of his brain.
Yeah, a big chunk, and it seems like it's going to work. But then the timer runs out. And the way he's killed is that thing that's on the sides of his head, it closes in, and it's like a Incan mask, and you see it you see it glow as it begins heating up, and it's burning his face boiling his head.
Yeah,
we don't see the aftermath, but I thought it was it's unrealistic, but it's cool.
It's creative, at least. Yeah,
it's creative. Yeah.
I don't think anybody would really be able to do that.
And at this point, Parker's like, "This is insane. You guys are insane, guys."
Yeah.
And he's got a gun, by the way, which John puts in a drawer, and he's like, "Look, you've got welcome me. Your rule is you're not allowed to use the gun. If you do, there'll be consequence. Blah 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 blah. Let him go. Let him go, Amanda. Let him go. He's cool." He's a cool guy. He goes, he's a chill guy. I didn't know he was chill like that. But then it's Gabriella's trap. Gabriella's young. She's a drug addict. She's a bit of... Because Amanda was also a drug addict, obviously. So Amanda kind of feels for her. She's got it's actually... I think it's a really fucking great trap. So she's got a chain around her leg and her arm. And the chain on her arm begins rising. So she's now, like, in the air.
Yeah. So she's going to be, like, pulled apart, basically.
No. It's better than that. And then there's a thing in the air with her, and the bit of thing comes off, and it's like a radiation machine.
Okay.
Like an X-ray.
Yeah, like an X-ray, and it's glowing orange. And her thing is that it's going to go up 5 levels. It's basically cooking her, and she's got to break her arm and her leg in order to be free.
Okay, yeah. Again, it's like the fingers. It's like, I'd rather break my arm.
Yeah,
like,
but the time limit is because it's going up pretty rapidly, and you see her like she's doing her best. She actually survives the trap. She wins, but by that point she is cooked.
Yeah,
like her skin is burned to smithereens. Because and there's a really funny bit that happens in it. I fucking loved it.
Oh yeah.
So she breaks her ankle first, which isn't a good idea. You should break your arm first, fall to the floor. You've got more leeway of running around the machine.
Yeah.
But she breaks her ankle first, and it swings her out to the middle of the room, and she's like, "Oh, I'm out of the way." And then the machine just moves directly to where she is, so that it keeps cooking her. But yeah, she breaks her arm, and she succeeds. And Jigsaw, wants to be like, he's like, she needs medical attention. When suddenly Parker, he's got the gun. He's like, take me down there. You guys are animals. Blah, blah, blah. Enough of this shit. They go down there, and Gabriella's alive on the floor, but like not great. And he goes up to Parker, and he's like, I told you I'd save you, babe. I'd die for you. And then they kiss. And it reveals yeah, because earlier in the film she managed to get a hold of a phone, and she begins calling someone, but she does technically call someone, but Amanda gets the phone off her. But she claimed that she was calling her father because her father actually is a surgeon, and she was going to try and get him to save John's life if it saves her. But no, she called Parker because he's a part of the scam. And John, and she's like, oh, we've got you now, Jigsaw. And Jigsaw's like, well, Gabriella needs medical attention. Please let Amanda take her to the hospital. And then she just steps on Gabriella's neck and fucking kills her.
Oh, fuck, what Amanda does?
No, Cecilia does.
Oh, Cecilia. Oh, okay.
Amanda's devastated about that.
Wow.
Because it's really fucked. She won the trap, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But then they do one of the coolest things they've ever done in a Saw film, where Cecilia, holding John at gunpoint, makes him get in one of his own traps. Which I can't believe they haven't done before.
Yeah.
So John's now in a trap, and it's a 2-person trap, but they don't put Amanda in it. Instead, they hear some noise outside, and there's a little boy kicking a football.
Okay.
So Cecilia goes and gets the little boy, like a 10-year-old boy, and puts him in the trap. So not only have we got Jigsaw in his own trap for the first time, we actually see a child in a Saw trap for the first time.
Yeah. But Jigsaw didn't put the child there. It was this
it's Cecilia.
Lady. And
it's a 2-person trap. It's one of the traps where someone will live, someone will die. And he met this kid before briefly. There's actually he meets when he was doing the scam and the scam was happening. He went out and helped the kid fix a bike because Jigsaw's a good guy.
He's a really good guy.
The kid's called
Nice
Carlos,
guy, yeah.
and when Cecilia's been Carlos in, Amanda goes, "Who is that?" And Jigsaw goes, "A friend." And I immediately looked to Hector because I thought it'd be really funny if he said it. I immediately looked to Hector and went, "My best friend." But I bring Carlos in, and Carlos is he's Mexican, and Jigsaw doesn't know much Mexican, but Spanish, whatever. But when he was helping fix the bike, he learned one phrase, which was pull. So he goes, no hablo, which means like don't pull. And then we get what his trap is, and the trap is, so 2 people on opposite sides of like they're lying down,
like a seesaw,
and there's a lever. They've both got levers, and there's a machine on top of them, and it's drowning them in blood. They call it bloodboarding. Yeah. So you've got to pull the lever in order to bring it to your side, because you can decide if you're the one who's going to die, essentially. But he's obviously told him don't pull because Jigsaw is going to take it all. The last thing Jigsaw wants is for this innocent kid to die. Yeah. So he takes it. And at one point, Carlos does. He starts to get it. He pulls it in order to give Jigsaw some leeway. Yeah. And John's like, "No hablo, Carlos, no hablo." And it seems like Jigsaw's actually like, how is he going to get out of this one? Yeah. And then Parker's like, this is fucked up. Let's just go get the money, because they've got a lot of money from the scams. Like Jigsaw gave them like 250 grand. Yeah. So they go up to Jigsaw's observatory room, where Carlos saw the bag of money, and they take the bag out and it's empty. But then an alarm starts going, and the door's shut. Oh no! At which point the trap immediately stops. It turns out that because they're in chains, but they've got little clicky things on their chains, so they immediately release themselves. And then the final trap of the film is for Parker and Cecilia, because we find out that the person he interrogated, the one who was in the pipe bomb trap on his
Yeah.
He told Jigsaw about Parker, but he wasn't able to find him, so he concocted this in order to have Cecilia lure Parker there.
Right.
And yeah, Parker failed his trial because his trial was basically, again, don't use the gun. Like, let this happen.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that, and so the final trap begins. They're in the room. It begins filling up with poisonous smoke, and there's like a little hatch thing, and the hatch opens, and it's only got enough space for one of them to stick their head through. So Parker and Cecilia have to like fight to the death in order to figure out who's going to live.
Oh shit, man.
Cecilia wins. It's also burning their skin. So like really bad gas. Cecilia wins. She kills Parker. And they're doing the classic thing where they're playing voice lines, and it's like, you know, him saying, "I'll die for you, baby," you know, that sort of shit. And then Jigsaw, you know, he you know, the trap stopped. He lives. Obviously, there's still more Saw movies.
Of course.
He did. And he's like, you know, you did good. He looks at Carlos and he's like, "You are a warrior." And then as he, Carlos and Amanda are leaving, he gets the bag of money, which was actually there, and he gives it to Carlos. And because a lot of the Saw movies end with someone shutting a door. This one ends with them opening a door into beautiful sunlight and walking out into the light.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Well, Cecilia's there with her head through the hatch being like, "John! John!
Damn you, John Kramer!
Damn you, John!
Damn you! I'll get you!
I'll get you next time, John Kramer!"
But that last trap was the worst.
Yeah, it is quite weird, especially because Cecilia is like she's one of them. She's like a reflection of John. Like she's a really, really cool bitch. So yeah, the fact that her trap didn't have as much physical suffering and she lived, it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
But it's also, it could be sequel bait. They could do another film set between Saw 1 and 2, or Saw 2 and 3.
Saw 10.5.
Yeah, well, it'd just be Saw that. But where Cecilia comes back and is like, "I told you I'd get you next time, John Kramer." But yeah, overall, it's a really fun film. It's also the longest Saw film. It's actually like 2 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah, but it earns it.
So there's a lot of plot stuff.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Well, I mean, it sounds really good. Sounds pretty creative.
Apart from the first dream trap, which happens like 5 minutes into the movie, you then get like just story, no traps, for like 40 minutes.
Wow.
And I'm not complaining about that. 'Cause it's actually really genuinely interesting stuff. You know?
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. There's not a lot of films that can do that well.
Yeah, but then it also has a mid-credit scene. So the way John heard about this procedure was a guy in his cancer support group called Henry, who he bumped into on the street, and he was like, "I'm cured," and he's got a massive scar on his belly from the surgery and all that shit. They're in the OG bathroom, you know, the Saw 1 bathroom.
Oh yeah.
And Henry's hanging up not a single speck of scar on his stomach, and he's like, "Where is your wound, Henry?" And then he goes, Jigsaw goes, "Thank you for finding him, detective." And Mark Hoffman comes out, and he says an iconically hilarious line, which is really 2000s. He goes, he says to Henry, "Of all the men to cheat, you choose John Kramer. I call that epic bad luck." And then they activate a trap on Henry, where it's obviously going to like fuck up his belly.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the film.
Nice.
But it's really
It
good
was fun.
film.
It was a good movie.
I would say it's my third favourite Saw film. I'd put Saw 1 and Saw 6. Saw 6 is great. I'd put Saw 6 above it. But apart from that, yeah, top 10. 100%. I'd be really happy if they made a Saw 11, you know. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it does seem, as far as sequels go, with the exception of Spiral anyway, a lot of the Saw films are quite consistent in, you know, how good they are, I would say. There are obvious exceptions, like...
I mean, Saw 7 and Jigsaw are also really shit. Especially Saw 7. Saw 7 is actually... It's also just... it is a shit film, but it's ruined by the fact that not only is Jigsaw... I mean, John Kramer's only in it for one flashback scene. He's barely in it, but...
Is that the one where he's wearing a baseball cap to make him look younger?
Yeah. He's like a 60-year-old man. He's wearing a baseball cap, and he's like, "I'm 35. But it's also the fact that, because by that point, Hoffman's purely Jigsaw, and he's doing things that are just anti-Jigsaw. Like, do you remember, because obviously the survival of Saw 7 his name's Bobby. He pretended to be a survivor, and his wife is trapped in a crouched position, and she ends up in a brazen bull, which is like a horrific death.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, she dies. And what's her crime? She was married to him. She didn't even know he lied about that. She's completely innocent, completely pure, and she gets one of the worst deaths in all of Saw.
Yeah.
I remember watching that and being like, cool scene. That's really fucked up. I didn't enjoy watching that trap. She didn't deserve that in the slightest.
Yeah.
And Jigsaw ends with that CGI laser trap, which was really shit, where it like splits his head open like a flower.
Oh, yeah.
Which is cool conceptually, but it looked like shit. Yeah. But overall, yeah, I'd have given it like a good 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean...
Decent, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go see it. To be fair. If I
You
get
really
the chance.
should, yeah.
It was good.
Absolutely.
I mean, I haven't seen The Exorcist Believer, but it's getting really bad reviews.
Yeah, I've heard it's garbage.
I mean, none of the Exorcist sequels are great. Exorcist 3 is okay. It's got a really, really effective jump scare. Have you seen Exorcist 3?
No.
You've probably seen this jump scare though, where it's like a long shot of a hallway, and it's a nurse, and she's going from room to room, opposite sides, and she enters one of the rooms, she's gone for a moment, and then she walks out, and as she walks out, there's this massive like white entity, and it's just following her like floating, and it's really goddamn effective. Like, I think there was a show that rated jump scares like recently, and it named it the top jump scare in any horror movie. And I don't blame them. It's a really, really effective scare. It's like a 2-minute shot, and then as that happens, the music pumps up, and it's like again, it's floating. It's behind her like that. Like, it's really, really good jump scare.
Okay.
But yeah. Apart from that, there's only one last thing we can really talk about.
And that's Aunty Donna.
Yeah, me and Hector
went to see Aunty Donna live, baby.
Yeah, live at the Eventim Apollo.
The Eventim Apollo, yeah. And it was good.
It was really, really good. Yeah, we're sorry you couldn't come, Daniel.
It's okay. I think was I working? I'm pretty sure I was working.
No, you were completely free that entire weekend.
Completely free the whole weekend, but...
I might have been, yeah.
You didn't come out of principle.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah, because I secretly hate Aunty Donna, in fact.
No, you hate us.
I actually really like it, and...
Yeah.
Didn't I show it to you guys? Or I'm pretty sure I did.
Tom showed it to me, and I showed it to Bradley.
Yeah.
And then I showed it to you.
Yeah.
No,
I'm pretty sure it actually was
Dan
the opposite way.
With
I think
me.
Tom,
Tom
showed it to me,
and
then
you watched it together
with
Tom. Yeah.
And then, that would make sense.
So I remember that, because the first time I watched it was with you and Tom, and it was fucking hilarious. It was hysterical. Yeah. But there was a lot more not original, sorry, but existing skits that they'd done before in the show.
Yeah, I'd say it was like 80%, things we had seen.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm not angry at.
Yeah.
They did some classic. They did, they sung Morning Brown, Things a Drum. They did, The Kiln.
Okay. Nice.
They did, Family Feud. With Daniel, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then they did some new shit. They did this new sketch where, the fart noise sketch.
Oh, that's
so
funny. Yeah.
It begins like as if they're doing a fairy tale. They're like, in the land of Pooh. And Zach's coming down and he's like, I am the mystical Pooh fairy.
And then someone else comes and says, I am Sir Pooh, on my way to Pooh Land to see the Pooh King.
And it's just Broden and Zach at first. And then halfway through, Zach just stops and he's like, what the fuck are we doing, man? I don't want to do this. And Broden's like, I don't want to do it either. It's really dumb. And then Mark comes in and he's doing like a little dance and he's like, it is me, Pooh Mark, Pooh of the Pooh. And finally they're like, oh Mark, we don't want to do it. Okay.
Yeah, we're not doing
But then they call off the stage and they're like, hey, we're going to skip this sketch. And the sound assistant is like, oh, but we can't skip the sound effects. We need to play it. Yeah, they're all cued. And so Aunty Donna's like, okay, audience, we're really sorry about this. We're just going to have to let the sound effects play. Just try and ignore it. It'll go quickly. And then they're all just standing there on stage silently as like 2 or 3 full minutes of just fart noises start playing.
Actually, look.
Yeah, Hector took a little video.
Let me find it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Comedic gold. Yep.
Yeah, it keeps going.
Yeah, it was like, again, it was genuinely like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, it went on for ages.
And there was a variety of different farts, you know, where and so But then at the very end, the last fart plays, and Zach goes, Mark. And Mark's like, yeah, sorry, I've got a bad stomach. And then a single fart noise plays, and they're like, alright, there we go. Okay.
Okay, you can play the you can play the soundtracks now.
Another new sketch they did, actually before that, so they did this sketch that was in Coffee Cafe, called The World's Worst Noughts and Crosses Players.
Yeah.
And we had a really obnoxious audience. So it is a really known, it's one of their best sketches where, noughts and crosses, they're terrible players, and there's an iconic line where Bowden's already done top right. Top right's been taken, but then it gets his turn again and he's like, top right. And Mark's like, no, you've done top right. And he just keeps, but the audience are clearly known about that sketch, and they begin like screaming out, top right! Top right! To the point where Mark, you could tell, I think Zach was kind of thinking it was quite funny.
Yeah.
Mark was getting really annoyed, and at one point he goes, just so you guys know, this is scripted. You guys have no power here. You could tell that he was actually getting a kind of annoyed.
Yeah, it got addressed by them, by the fact that people were shouting.
Even afterwards, they said something like, and if you think, you'll hear the funniest guy in the room shouting top right kind of thing. Like, really obnoxious audience. Another new sketch they did that I thought was funny, it was like almost like a Game of Thrones parody. They were like medieval. And then Mark asks for a Coke float. You know what a Coke float is?
Yes.
No.
So a Coke float is it's the older way of making Coke where you get the syrup and you pour the soda water and then you put an ice cream at the top.
Yeah.
And they start
It's
discussing,
like a root beer float.
and they start discussing how weird that is. And then Broden makes like a Fanta float, and they all have a Fanta float, and then Mark. So Zach drops his Fanta float. Someone comes out to clean it, and then they just start fucking the stage. But Zach isn't allowed to join in because he drops his Fanta float.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and then there was also the robot that will fuck your mum.
Oh, yeah, so Bowden's a robot. It's a little song thing, and Bowden's a robot that's going to fuck your mum. And he points to someone, he's like, what's your mum's name? What does she do? I'm going to fuck Lisa, who works at the bank store. Like,
and that was, who works in the civil service.
Civil service store, yeah. But apart from, and the ending, because it's called the Magical Dead Cat Tour, and it begins with like a fake cat who's like, I am in control of all of this, and at the end they bring that back because they're talking to the cat, and then Mark's like, hold on a minute, this cat's fake, and then you see someone coming out in a cloak, and they're like, it's being controlled by him, and they run over and they pull off the cloak. And it's a pretty fat guy wearing a Spider-Man costume. A very ill-fitting Spider-Man. And Zach's like, oh my god, it's Spider-Man. And then they start playing What's Up Danger from Into the Spider-Verse. Which is even funnier, because that's Miles' song. And this is Peter Parker's costume. That really got me really hard when they bring out Spider-Man.
Yeah, but then was rock solid.
But then they ended it. They ended the show, because there's a sketch earlier in it where Mark's pretending to be like a fan. And he asks them to do a sketch where they make a parody of Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl and I Like It, called I Ate a Pud and I Liked It. And Zach's like, he's explaining why that's an awful sketch idea. And he's like, you should be really embarrassed. You think I'm going to go to Mark and Broden and suggest that? But then at the end, they actually sing a full parody.
Nice.
And they had the lyrics, like they had a sheet with the lyrics on.
So like, everyone could sing along.
Yeah, and the entire stadium of 3,000 people were singing, I ate a pud and I liked it. I ate a pud just to try it.
Yeah.
Like,
nice. Yeah. Classic.
10 out of 10 experience.
It was a really fun night.
It was really fun.
Yeah. Sorry to have missed it. Although I will look forward to seeing more in the next season.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
What I wished had happened is, because obviously we all left at the same time, everyone poured into the underground. I would have loved it if we're all on the underground and sung I Ate to Put. Imagine a normal person on the underground and just suddenly everyone around them breaks into song I Ate a Put and I Liked It. Yeah. Like, I'd be thinking, actually, what the fuck is going on?
I took a picture that had the lyrics of the song in. No, when I sent it to the group chat with Mia in. Mia, friend of the podcast. Here it is. I ate a pud and I liked it. I bought it from the shop, I think. I ate a pud just to try it. Hope my boyfriend don't mind it. It tastes so yum. It's in my tum. I might even have another one. I ate a pud just to try it, and I liked it. Oh yeah, and Cowdoy came out.
Nice.
Broden
Nice.
left for a bit and came back as
Classic.
Cowdoy, you know. But yeah, it was a really fun night. I'm really glad we were able to go. Because that was also, for the audience, that was the end of the week where I'd gotten COVID. So I was really worried during that week that I wasn't going to be able to go.
But he made it. He powered through like a champ.
Through.
Yeah.
I took my vitamins.
Lots of healthy vitamins.
Yeah.
Had lots of water and rest.
Yeah. But yeah, in general, it was a really fun time.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
we will
sounds
see
like
him
that.
again at some point. I'm sure they'll do more things.
Yeah. I'd like to go
We'll
with you
definitely
next
have to
time
go
if
to the next
possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably do more tours in America, or maybe in Britain. I mean, they said that they were surprised at how it sold out.
They're touring in America right now, so you can actually go next month and
genuinely
maybe
could.
catch one.
Oh shit! You definitely should. And then maybe they do different sketches.
No, I think because the Magical Dead Cat tour. I mean, I looked it up on the Aunty Donna Reddit, and they did it the same pretty consistently.
Right.
They did one new sketch, which was this job interview where they ripped on London for the entire thing. But they actually did that for every city they went to. They ripped on.
Yeah.
But in London, they were like, "You're full of, London's full of dumb fat cunts."
Well, they're not wrong.
But yeah, 10 out of 10. Very
Sounds
good
good, man.
experience. It was an
Really
excellent
good.
show. I had a great time. I laughed a lot. There was a really tall man sitting in front of me, so I had to lean over into Bradley's seat so I could actually see. But,
we didn't have great seats, but it's not. Again, it wasn't a huge arena. It fit 3,000 people, but it was just structurally not huge. So we, even though we didn't. It's not as if we didn't. We couldn't see it. But yeah, is there anything else you guys can think of that you want to discuss?
No, not that I can think of.
I think of something. Let's discuss the full trilogy of The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, let's not do that, actually. I don't want to do
How
that.
about the box set of The Crown?
Oh, I could discuss the box set of The Crown.
Every episode, we should go and do an
Great
in-depth
detail.
analysis
Yeah.
of every episode of The Crown.
I think it would be great.
I think so. I think that would get a lot of
That would get
attention.
traction.
Yeah,
that would get traction.
Yeah, that would get traction, and instead of just one listener from Norway.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've said, I don't know if I said this to you, Hector, but I have said it to Daniel, but the best way for us to, expand the show and actually get viewers is to just keep making shit.
It is
Because audiences don't like things that are new. Even though the podcast has been around for 2 years, they'll see it's only episode 27, and they'll be like, ooh, I don't want to listen. Once we get to, in the hundreds, we're more likely to get new listeners because they'll know we have a big back catalogue and we can be consistent.
Yeah.
Even if we're doing it for 10 years, if we're still not in the double...
10
in
years.
it's still not enough.
We're all going to be 47 years old and doing podcasts.
And by the time
That's the goal.
and then
Yeah.
it gets
Imagine
That's
that. Imagine,
attraction.
and also it serves as something else other than just something to get viewership.
It's a time capsule.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
What
true.
were Hector, Bradley, and Daniel watching back in 2023? They saw 10 and went to Aunty Donna.
Yeah.
Talked about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and
Exactly. Yeah. Can't get much better than that.
no quality ass content.
Quality ass content.
Quality ass content.
Well, thank you everyone for listening in to this episode 28 of the Nethergreen podcast featuring Daniel.
Well, Daniel's not... Technically, you are
I
a
am.
host.
I am a host. I'm a part-time host though.
But I guess you're...
An infrequent host.
An
but-
infrequent,
but it's good
and it's
to
about
have
to
you
be
back on the
even more
podcast.
infrequent because I'm going to be gone. I'm going to disappear
Or
to the
more
land of the
frequent.
free and the brave.
Maybe we should just give the podcast to you.
You should actually. I should host it by myself.
Yeah.
In America, and I'll make it the Made in America podcast.
Yeah.
Which is actually going to be a thing coming soon.
That's good. Change is good. You should revitalize and revamp the podcast into something completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will get the traction
Yeah.
that we deserve.
You'll get the money.
He'll get the
You'll get the
bitches.
bangs. You'll get the house.
Get the house and the car.
But yeah, thank you for
right.
listening. Hope you enjoyed. Who's to say when the next episode will be?
It'll be sometime.
Sometime. Don't rush.
That is all you can say. It will be sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. Peace.
Good night.
Have a good one.
Sweet dreams.